Welcome to Rams Iconic, presented by 1800 Tequila, the best taste in tequila. Please drink responsibly. I'm D'Marco Farr, and this is the podcast where we catch up with the greatest players in franchise history. My next guest played 11 seasons in the National Football League, 9 with the St. Louis and LA Rams. In those 9 seasons, I love this, 138 games, 28 sacks, 48 big tackles for loss, the 14th overall pick in the 2012 NFL Draft. Please welcome back Big Michael Brockers. What's up, man?
Man, I'm good, man. I'm good. How are you?
I am good, bro. Do you know, I told you this before, you're one of my favorite Rams of all time. You know this, right?
I didn't, but I'm glad to hear it.
I mean, when you talk about being a pro's pro, how to do it, how to show up on time, how to work hard, how to lead men, every time I saw you get off the bus and I just looked at your demeanor, I knew the Rams were going to be dialed in that day because of you.
That's crazy, bro. Thank you, bro. That's an honor, especially from you, bro. Let's not take anything away from what you have done for this organization, but man, that's an honor.
Do you remember the 2012 draft? Do you remember what that was like, the feeling you had when you got drafted, when your name was called?
Man, it was crazy. That 2012 draft was so locked in because everybody kind of knew. Like, you don't really know, but in that year it was like Andrew Luck, RG3, Luke Kuechly, this guy, that guy, and the list goes on. So honestly, I didn't know what to expect going in. I know I was a young guy. A lot of teams had questions on my maturity, things like that. I showed very well. I just, I went into each interview being myself, and I think I left the impression on each team. But going into the draft, I didn't have a clue who wanted to draft me. I was just, leaving it up to God at the end of the day.
Were you shocked when your name came off the board? Because I think I looked while you were at LSU. Did you have like 15 starts, turned pro, and then went in the first round?
Yes. Red shirt in my first year. My second year, I rotated because we had some juniors and seniors in front of me. My third year was my red shirt sophomore year. Ended up starting, played that full season, went on to the national championship, lost that game, and then went into the draft.
Did you always dream about playing in the league?
Always dreamed about playing in the league. Always dreamed about playing. For me, I grew up in Houston, Texas, so in the 90s, so we didn't have any Oilers, so our big team in Texas was the Cowboys during that time. But for me, Dallas was my team. So I had a bunch of dreams, telling my grandmother, oh, man, I'm going to play for the Cowboys and this and this and that. So for me, I definitely had dreams of playing in the NFL for sure.
Well, you played against the Cowboys, so that all works
Right.
out. See, there you go. There you go. Did you feel any sort of pressure once you got to St. Louis? I mean, you were the first pick in the Les Snead era. Did you feel any sort of pressure?
I came into a team that didn't put any pressure on me, but I think I put a lot of pressure on myself personally, because I took being drafted in the first round as a high honor. I didn't come in there thinking like, you should have drafted me. I was totally shocked that the Rams drafted me. At the end of the day, I wanted to show them, why they drafted me. I wanted to, get on the field, make plays to show my worth.
And that's the one thing. I think that's the one thing I was telling you about over the years, because when you were drafted, the first thing I said was, well, it's obvious what type of ball Jeff Fisher wants to play, these big dudes. And then all of a sudden, you started to lean up. The first D lineman I ever saw with skinny jeans on was you. It was you, actually. I mean, so that commitment to making yourself better physically. Talk to me about that.
Man, so first of all, I want to just shout out to AD. AD really helped my career. Just seeing his passion, his work ethic. I think it really started like my third or fourth year. AD's playing. He's going to the Pro Bowl, things like that. And I ended up calling him like after the season, and it couldn't have been 3 weeks after the season. I just wanted to see what he was up to. I called him, and he's like, "Hey, I'm working out." I'm like, "You're working out? We played a game not too long ago. You need to let your body rest." And he's like, "Nah, man. I need to keep my body, in tune and shape, things like that." And it clicked. I think in that conversation it clicked. Like, this guy's the best defensive tackle in the NFL, and he's willing to sacrifice, his time for the game. And from that moment, my dedication really changed to the game. learning how to be a pro's pro, like you said,
Hmm.
and just staying on top of my game. I felt like if I wasn't working out, somebody was getting better than me. That's what continued to drive me in working out. I think moving from nose tackle to 3-4 end also is what made me, slim down and trim down. But learning from AD, staying on top of my game, staying strong in the weight room, that was the big keys to the longevity of my career.
7 years together, you and AD. It was like Brockers, AD, AD, and Brockers. I mean, 2 years after you. Did you know anything about him before he was drafted? Did you know anything about
I
Aaron?
did,
Yeah.
which is crazy. I didn't know anything about him personally. But before the draft in 2014, I was watching just draft picks. Just I'm trying to see, who's the next guy, right? And I'm watching his highlight, and I'm like, it's 14 minutes. I'm like, oh, 14 minutes. It's gonna be full of slow mos. It's
Yeah.
gonna be full of like fluff, And no, it's play after play after play of highlights. Like
Right.
there's no cut scenes. There's no extra slowdown. There's just plays after plays. I'm like, bro, this man's highlight tape is 14 minutes long and as a D tackle, and it's nothing but plays. There's no, extra music in the background or anything like that.
Yeah.
Just straight plays. So before I knew he was going to be a force to be reckoned with when he came to the
I
league.
mean, I always wanted to know what were those defensive meetings like on Monday or in practice.
Mhm.
You, him, and Hendo, and you guys see some stuff like, wow, did you see what this guy just did? What was that
Bruh,
like?
it's crazy. It gets this effect because you see him do it, and you're like, man, if I could just jump the snap, read the keys, I can do that same thing. I try to do it, I get hemmed up, double teamed. I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna do my thing. I'm gonna
Right.
let you do your thing.
Only for the special, no doubt. One of my favorite AD moments is when he put the helmet on back in Seattle and went out there and tried to get on the center in Seattle.
Yeah.
Where were you for that? Because I know you two roll
Um,
together. Yeah.
I didn't think he was serious. I'm one of them guys that goes into the locker room after the game. I'm
Yeah.
not one of those guys that puts his helmet on to go back into some action after the game. I didn't think he was serious. He literally takes his pads off, puts his helmet back on, and goes back on the field looking for the center. And I'm like, bruh, I just knew it was done. He snapped at that moment,
Yeah.
whatever, because I think he made a play, got an interception, and then the center kind of dragged him down or whatever, a little awkward. And he was pissed. He thought this guy was trying to take his career away from him. So he was livid that day.
Actually, I'm kind of glad you went in the locker room because you might have doubled him. And the dude deserved
I
it anyway.
promise.
I was out there. So you go from, we all do this. If you stay in the league long enough, coaches get fired and coaches get hired. So you go from Jeff Fisher to Sean McVay. What was your first thought when you said, here's my head coach, he's 30 years old? What was your first
Right.
thoughts?
My first thought was this dude's kind of young. I wonder what kind of coach is he going to be. You at that point in time, you kind of learn the name of the game, especially when new coaches come in, old coaches leave, and you start to see, oh, is this guy like an ego guy? Is he a guy who it's his way or the highway type of deal? And McVay totally changed that whole perspective. He came in really wanting to help us because before that, the defense was rolling, and we just wanted a little offense to kind of help us out. And when he came in, he was like, man, guys, if you just believe in my system, believe in what I'm preaching, I will get you there. We will win games, and I promise you that. And he held us accountable, and I love that. He treated us as men. It was always a conversation. It wasn't a, hey, you're gonna do what I tell you. It was more of, hey, if the guys are feeling, this a certain way, we might go to Big Wit. Hey, Big Wit, talk to talk to coach, about letting us off today,
No, you didn't.
So it was always a thing where it was always not a negotiation, but you could work through things because we're all men. We
Yeah.
we could be honest with him as a coach, and he was approachable. So I think that was my biggest things about McVay when he first started. I appreciate the way he came in because he wasn't real egotistical. His door was always open. In the facility, so you could always go in there and talk to him. It didn't seem like he was above their team or anything. He was definitely he made himself more part of the team each and every day.
It was immediate from my eyes, going from one regime to the next. And his first practice, you could tell things are going to be different. Just by how you guys were out there and behaving, you can tell things are going to be different. And it's tough when a head coach says, if we do X, Y, and Z, we're going to win games, we're going to make it to the Super Bowl. You guys actually did make it to the Super Bowl in 2018. You got any memories about that game, that journey, going into that moment against the Patriots?
Man, it was a great year. I think that New Orleans game was the top, the top game for me as far as like that year, because we were in New Orleans. Their fans are going crazy. We had the big play, the no call, that the Saints are still sick about. They are still sick about that play. But that was the game. I felt like that was, because we going into enemy territory. We are down 21-7, I think, in the game or something like that. So for me, I'm like, man, for us to come back from here, we can do anything. And we go into that game, we playing the GOAT in itself, and we didn't quite finish the job. But for me, man, defense, we played a hell of a game to keep that team at 13 points, with all these great players. I thought we played a tremendous game. We just needed to finish on the offensive side to win.
Going back to New Orleans, when Zerline laces that one, it's in the air. What were you thinking?
Man, I was just thinking, this is crazy. Like this is what going to the Super Bowl feels like, because you see it, and then also I'm a realist. I understand that a lot of players play this game and never get that feeling, never
Mm-hmm.
even feel the playoffs. So for me, lucky enough for me, I get to feel this feeling of playing in the playoffs and going to the big game. I mean, to be a football player, and that's like one of your dreams come true, where you can go to the big game and have the opportunity to win a championship.
And there's videos, your highlight videos, and the plays you make. I love it. When D-line makes plays, when you sack people, tackles for loss, all that stuff
Hmm.
gets my goat. But the part of the video when you're talking to your teammates before the game, in the huddle, going around to everyone, and you can feel the passion. It was
Right.
real. It was from the heart, and you were speaking to every single member of your football team. I need you. We need each other to win football games. Talk about that pregame stuff when you're talking to your teammates.
Man, this game of football is the ultimate team game, man. Not one person can win a game. We need everybody. And, a lot of people like to think that, special teams is just a part. Like, no, they're a really big part of this game, And I'm a very inclusive person, man. I like to include everybody, the kickers, the backup kicker, everybody. I want everybody to feel important, because you never know when your number's going to be called, man. This is a 100% injury sport. You don't know when the next guy's going to be up. So everybody needs to be in their playbook. Everybody needs to have that feeling of, revving up your engine, because you never know if you're going to be needed. So that was kind of my speech, and my tone to every game, because I know everybody's going to be needed to win this, to win these games. These are tough games to win in the NFL.
I remember when you came in, Quinn was here, Chris Long was here. You were the young pup,
Yes.
watching you guys grow and mature. Now, watching what this current group of young Rams defensive linemen are doing. Braden Fisk is a baller. Sewing machine legs never stops. Jared Verse, I don't know what to make of this dude. He came out the gate talking. Now he's rookie of the year. He backs it up. You've seen these guys play. What do you think their future is?
Man, it's bright, especially when you go about it the way Les Need goes about it. If you notice, anytime he has a full rebuild where he feel like he has to, change the team, where does he start? He always starts in the trenches. He
Yes,
always
sir.
starts with the big boys up front, and most importantly, he starts on the defensive side. He starts on the defensive side, and then he picks his pieces on the offensive line. But to see that, and it's still working, man, he
Mhm.
has a formula. I'm not sure what it is, but it's definitely a formula where they go out to get some of the best talent at defensive line that other people aren't looking at, and they making them better. So I'm loving what the organization is doing. Les Need, he's doing a phenomenal job, and loving to see the big boys up front get some love for sure.
You have a clone here. He's a little bit shorter, but he reminds me of you and Kobe Turner. A straight
Yes,
up leader and a baller
yes.
all at the same time. Yeah, so I'm glad. I'm glad you're paying attention to these young dudes. All right, so this is my favorite part of Rams Iconic. I do this with everybody we have on. It's
Talk to
my
me.
favorite play. My
Mm-hmm.
favorite play. So when you go back, I got some in mind of you wrecking shop, but I want to know what is your favorite play while you were a member of the Rams, the St. Louis or LA Rams?
Man, I already have a play. We were playing in St. Louis. We were playing in St. Louis, maybe 2014, 2015. I don't recall. Um, excuse me. So we playing Seattle. When I got to the Rams and playing Seattle, it almost was like, when I first got there, they were like bullies. They were the bullies, and we were like the little bros on the block, and they were just beating up on us. And I took that to heart, and I was like, no, no more of this, no more of them just coming in here, yawning and then beating us, So for me, I took it to heart that every time we play Seattle, it's gonna be a hard fought game. So we're playing in St. Louis. Seattle's, 4th and 2, 4th and 1, planning on going down to score. And we just lost to them previous, I think, 3-9 or 6-9 or something the previous year before at home. And I was just like, man, we got to do something. So early in the game, Greg Williams called a call where I was supposed to do a stunt, and I didn't do the stunt correctly. So I came back to the sideline, and I was like, Greg, please call that call again. It won't happen again. I'm going to make that play. So 4th and 2, game on the line. Seattle has beast mode. Marshawn Lynch in the backfield, and Greg calls his play, and I'm like, thank you. I'm like, no, I'm gonna make this play this time. I'm not gonna, not show up for my team. So snaps the ball. I run my stunt, end up bouncing off the tackle, making the play in the backfield. At the same time, Mr. Greatness gets off his block and he tackles him too. So we both end up tackling
Yes.
Marshawn for a loss. AD ends up staying up. I don't know, freak reason. He ends up, athletically staying up after the play. And I'm on the ground, and I swear we're not going to the playoffs or anything, D'Marco. I think we're 5 and something, 6 and something. But the way I felt after that game, because I knew that was a game, stop and drive. I felt like we had won the Super Bowl. That was my greatest play, making that play on Marshawn Lynch in St. Louis to kind of show them like, things are changed. Things are changing.
And from then on, it did change. That was the year after they didn't give him the ball on the goal line in the Super Bowl, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the very next year, you guys stopped
Yes.
on 4. I remember that like it was
Yes.
yesterday. And it started something new. So I'm looking. Are you wearing camo right now? Or are you
Yes,
hunting?
man. I mean,
Yeah.
I want to show the people how cold it is down here in Houston, man. I got my camo jacket on, trying to
Yeah.
stay warm. Going in and outside, going outside, it's like 20-something degrees. So yeah, I got my hunting fit on right now.
So retired, done, not coming back to ball.
Yeah, retired, done, man. I'm good. I like to see the young guys, take it from here and go off to the races with it.
Coaching? What are you going to do next?
Maybe, man, maybe. I definitely would been telling my wife like I would, love to coach, but I just know how much time it takes to coach and to be a big, good coach. And I want to be, if I do coaching, I want to be good at it. So, I told him, man, give me a couple years, let me get my foundation with the kids, lay the, foundation, and once we feel like, they're done with us as,
Yeah.
parent, it's gonna get that time, they're gonna get
Right.
15, 16, they'll be like, oh yeah, mom, dad, get out of here. At
Yeah.
that time, I'll probably want to, go into coaching. So I'll probably just, during this time, set myself up, maybe finish school, things like that, so I can have those accolades to get me in those positions.
Well, stay home, family time. I know if you do
Yes,
become a
sir.
coach, you're going to be a great one, man. It was
Yes,
so
sir.
much fun watching you grow up, watching you become a
Thank you.
monster, and just really following your career. It really hurt when you left, but I'm so happy we caught up with you again on Rams
Yes,
Iconic,
sir.
man. Thanks for joining me, man.
Man, thanks for having me on. Thank you, D'Marco.
All right, that's a wrap on this episode of Rams Iconic, presented by 1800 Tequila, the best taste in tequila. Please drink responsibly. Hope you enjoyed our convo with the one and only, and I mean that, Michael Brockers. I'm D'Marco Farr. Thanks for watching. We'll catch up with you next time.